Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Another beautiful day on a Monday. It's getting a little bit more, it's getting colder out, but that's okay. I've been doing a lot of cold training, so it's actually pretty good. Last night I did my first 3-round repetition of breathing outside, sitting in the backyard without a shirt on, and I did it. I started shaking very slightly in the first and second round, but after the third round, or during the third round, it was just straight focus, and it was good. It was good. So, continuing on where we left off, we are on page 5 of the book, At Your Command. If you haven't read it, buy it and read it. If not, just listen to me and I will read it for you. So yeah, there we go. There's the page. Let's continue on. I hope everything's good. If you guys are watching the videos, awesome. If you have any suggestions, improvements, anything I can do to make them better, critique, whatever, let me know. Okay. Okay, so let's start off. We finished. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off. You will find within this deep of yourself all things to be divinely possible. Everything in the world which you can conceive of being is to you within the present formless awareness, a most natural attainment. You will find within this deep of yourself all things to be divinely possible. So anything is possible. Impossible is a made-up word. Everything in the world which you can conceive of being is to you within this present formless awareness a most natural attainment. So what is your present awareness? And I was talking to somebody, and I told them to start writing stuff down, like, go dig deep back into your life, go back into the past, dig deep, and write stuff down. Write about good situations, bad situations, what you're thinking at those situations, what the outcome was, and then start piecing it together, because realistically, as my brother once said, bad begets bad, good begets good. And that is so true, especially in your mind. So depending on how you react to a situation, whether at work or just during your life, is going to determine the outcome. If you're always getting mad at situations, then you're always going to have something to be mad at. If you always look at situations as learning opportunities, then you're always going to learn. It just depends on your perception of the situation and how you're looking at it. Delicious. So do that. Get a book, right? Get a book. Just start writing stuff down. You don't have to make sense of it now, but write it down and go back to it and see what happens, right? Start thinking. Think about what you're thinking about. Okay, next one. The invitation given us in the scriptures is to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord, the body being your former conception of yourself and the Lord your awareness of being. This is what is meant when Jesus said to Nicodemus, "Ye must be born again, for except ye be born again, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." That is, except you leave behind you your present conception of yourself and assume the nature of the new birth, you will continue to outpicture your present limitations. So, I've started understanding this more. Not started. I have understood this, but just thinking about it. So when they talk about being born and new birth and what your awareness is, unless you when they talk about new birth, they're talking about your the change in your mindset. That's what they're talking about when it comes to the new birth. So where your mindset is determines your limitations. If you are a negative person, and I will say this one more time, I love saying it, 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, 80% negative, 95% repetitive. If that's your mindset now, you need a reboot or a new birth of mindset here. Otherwise, you will continue outpicturing the limitations of that 80 negative, 95% repetitive mindset. Now, change your mindset to 80% positive or 90% positive and 95% repetitive. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen? Do you think bad things will happen to you if you have a positive outlook on every situation? Because that's not how it works. And I was talking to somebody, and man, 80% negative. Like, people are beating themselves up and constantly thinking. You have to learn to let go and just be. Just let go and be. But yeah, so when they talk about you have to leave behind your present conception of yourself, well, that's all that negativity. That's all this in here. You have to leave that behind because you can't bring it with you. Otherwise, you'll continue outpicturing your present limitations, as it says down there. You can't. If you're 50-50, 50% positive, 50% negative, okay, well, that's an improvement. But you need to continue working on it so that, you're always positive. And, it's funny because people look at, there's an assumption about positive people, like how can they always be so positive all the time when there's all this stuff going on in the world? It's our choice. It's our excuse me. It's our choice. We choose to be we choose to be positive. We choose to spread this. One of the biggest things is why would you ever want to think anything bad if the outcome is going to be bad? Does that make sense? So, when you see somebody and they're happy and chipper and whatever else, be happy for them. Be happy for them. Don't be like, oh, why are you so happy all the time? Don't do that. Be happy for them. If anything, you should learn from them. Take a lesson from them and be like, hey, how come you're always happy all the time? What can I do so that I can be happy, be more happy, be happier? Right? Because there's a lot of people. Well, I'm not gonna make that assumption, but don't discourage people that have positive outlooks to get them to be back to the negative outlook of things, because nobody should be looking towards that. Nobody should be looking towards negativity, man. Why would you do that? Okay. The only way to change your expression of life, or your expressions of life, is to change your consciousness. For consciousness is the reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. Man's world in its every detail is his consciousness outpictured. You can no more change your environment or world by destroying things that you can no more change your environment or world by destroying things than you can your reflection by destroying the mirror. Your environment and all within it reflects that which you are in consciousness. As long as you continue to be that in consciousness, so long will you continue to outpicture it in your world. Okay, so the only way to change your expressions of life is to change your consciousness. And when they speak of consciousness, they're talking about, are you aware and conscious of what you're thinking? That's what they're talking about, consciousness. And it says, for consciousness is a reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. So that's what I mean by about going back and digging into your past and seeing how it's all arranged. And then once you realize, like, oh, at this point in my life, I was thinking this. At this point in my life, I was thinking this, and this happened, and then I was, oh my God, wow. This happened because I thought this, and this was the outcome. I was thinking this was the event, this occurred, this happened. You kind of got to do that. I've done it. I have done it. I have went through many, 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 many situations in my head. And you need to do that because then you make yourself more aware of what you're thinking, and then you actually take control. You start controlling your thought process. And then once you control that, then you can learn to let go. Like I was asking, I asked somebody, have you ever just been able to shut your brain off? Like, have you ever just been able to just be? Have you ever been able to do that? Because I did it. I do that now. I did it last night. I had headphones on, and I wasn't thinking about a thing. Nothing. I was just laying there. Not thinking about a thing. Pure relaxation. You want to know what that feels like? It feels amazing. There's no time conception, right? You're not thinking about time. You're not thinking about anything. You're just being in the moment. You know how people say be in the moment? Well, be in the moment. Don't think. It's amazing. It's a wonderful feeling to just lay there and be and not think about a thing. Just pure relaxation. And, it's great. It's great. I suggest you guys try it sometime. And then it says, you can no more change your environment or world by destroying things than you can your reflection by destroying the mirror. So it doesn't matter what you destroy or change in your world. Like if you took a mirror and you broke it, that doesn't change your reflection. You just broke the mirror. And now you got a mess to clean up and, 7 years bad luck. So they say, but don't listen to what they say. What do you think? But yeah, that's pretty much the example that they're given there. So you can't change yourself by destroying things around you. You have to fix this first, and then things change outwards. Ooh, the next one's a big, long one. Okay. And then it says, as long as you continue to be in that consciousness, so long will you continue to outpicture it in your world. So continue to think bad thoughts, continue to worry, continue to do whatever you're doing, and that's what you're going to outpicture in your world. So you might want to get on that, because I sure have. I want all good things. All good things are happening. That's it. That's it. Yes, I'm drinking water and coffee. Okay, so next one. Knowing this, begin to revalue yourself. There you go. Revalue yourself. What do you find yourself? What are you worth? And I'm not talking dollars and cents. Don't you want the best in life? Don't you deserve the best in life? You know, because we all do. We all want the best in life, but from being born and as we grow, we are continually having outside influences penetrate our brain and telling us what we are allowed, what we are, what we are capable of, what we're not capable of, whether we're smart, handsome, beautiful, like all these things affect everything. And if you think about kids in school, yeah, you're fat, you're ugly, blah, 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 you're dumb. Now that poor kid is torturing themselves in here because they don't know how to control that yet. Right? So if you have kids, teach your kids properly. Okay? Like I have. And, kids are kids. They're not always going to be able to, focus what's going on in here. But that's why we're parents. Is because we have, our brains are developed more. So that's our job to do that. And watch your kids. If you see them doing something that's unacceptable, let them know and how that can affect that other person or whatever. And that should go for you too. What you do affects the other person, whether you want to believe it or not. Whether they allow it to happen or not, that's the thing you don't know. Like, so if you're in a position at work or whatever, and you have a crew or a team and you are consistently yelling at those people, do you think their improvement, do you think they will improve if you are constantly beating them down? Now, if they know better and they know they are a good worker and they're not allowing to get beat down or whatever situation, this applies to anything. That's the other thing that we don't know. So begin to revalue yourself. Man has placed too little value upon himself. In the book of Numbers you will read, in that day there were giants in the land, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and we were in their sight as grasshoppers. This does not mean a time in the dim past when man had this stature of giants. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions round about you, they should have put a comma there. The eternal, let me start this over. Man has placed too little value upon himself. In the book of Numbers you will read, in that day there were giants in the land, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And we were in their sight as grasshoppers. This does not mean a time in the dim past when man had the stature of giants. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions round about you have attained the appearance of giants, such as unemployed, the armies of your enemy, your problems, and all things that seem to threaten you. Those are the giant that make you feel yourself to be a grasshopper. Okay, that's huge right there. And I know the language is kind of different, but that's huge. Today is the day. The giants are everything that you're focusing here. This makes you feel like a grasshopper. Because it says, such as unemployed, the armies of your enemy, your problems, and all things that seem to threaten you, those are the giant that make you feel yourself to be a grasshopper. those are the giants. They should have put giants. But, or that is the giant that makes you feel yourself to be a grasshopper. But they use the word those because there's multiple examples. There you go. So they should have put giants. That's the answer. Sorry. But, yeah. So you got, there's giants in the land, and in our own sight, we are grasshoppers. So turn yourself to a giant by taking control and changing your way of thinking, and you will not be a grasshopper. But you are told you were first in your own sight a grasshopper, and because of this, you were to the giants a grasshopper. In other words, you can only be to others what you are first to yourself. Therefore, to revalue yourself and to begin to feel yourself to be the giant, a center of power, is to dwarf these former giants and make of them grasshoppers. All the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven and among all the inhabitants of earth, and none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, What dost thou? What dost thou? This being spoken of is not the orthodox God sitting in space, but the one and only God, the everlasting Father, your awareness of being. So awake to the power that you are, not as man, but as your true self, a faceless, formless awareness, and free yourself from your self-imposed prison. Whoa! Wow. You imprison yourself by the thoughts that you put here. All the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven, and among all the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, What dost thou? What do you want for yourself? What do you want to be? Who do you say you are? Right? So awake to the power that you are not as man, but as your true self, a faceless, formless awareness, and free yourself from your self-imposed prison. And I think the biggest thing with that is you are not your brain. You are a spiritual medium, and your body is a manifestation of the sum of all your thoughts. That's what that means. And it's your choice whether to believe what I'm saying or not. But there's a paragraph coming up. I should read it because it's huge. People don't, because of our conditioning from birth to however old you are, it is as easy or this is as hard as you want to make it. Because the concept depending on the person can be hard to accept because of that conditioning. And once you realize that, once you find yourself, as you say it, once you find yourself, your true happiness, your, that awareness, there's no going back. There's no going back to anything. Why would you? Right? Okay, next one. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they will follow me. Awareness is the good shepherd. What I am aware of being is the sheep that follow me. So good a shepherd is your awareness that it has never lost one of the sheep that you are aware of being. So that just goes, what am I aware of being is the sheep. So what are you aware of being? What do you write down? What do you say I am? Right? Do you say I am handsome? I am health? I am wealth? I am loved? I am smart? I'm intelligent? I'm a genius? I'm neat? I'm organized? What do you say you are? I am a hard worker, right? What do you say you are? I am a voice calling in the wilderness of human confusion, for such as I am aware of being, and never shall there come a time when that which I am convinced that I am shall fail to find me. I am a voice calling in the wilderness of human confusion, for such as I am aware of being, and never shall there come a time when that which I am convinced that I am shall fail to find me. So whatever you are convinced you are, will never fail. Wait a minute. I am aware of being, and never shall there come a time when that which I am convinced that I am shall fail to find me. Yeah, so that which you are convinced that you are, there will never come a time when that will fail to find you. So, I am is an open door. I think we're going to end it there. But yeah, so that's today's video. Lots to think about in there. Are you a giant or are you a grasshopper being controlled by giants? Because like I said, you can make the smallest problem, the smallest, like a grain of salt, the size of a mountain by the attention you give it. And if you turn a grain of salt that is a situation or obstacle into a mountain, do you think that will ever move? No. But if you take a problem and make it the size of a grain of salt, it'll disappear as it hits water and dissolve into nothingness. So don't make small things into huge deals. That's the biggest thing. Go from focusing so much on the problem to focusing on the solution, and then move forward. Don't go back to it. Right? Don't ever find the solution to a problem and then, think about the problem again. Move on. Let go. Let it go. Boom. But now you know that if that situation ever occurs again, you already know the solution. So then it's a grain of salt, and it dissolves as it hits the water. Gone. So, lots to think about. Are you aware of what you're thinking? Who do you say you are? Are you a giant or are you a grasshopper? Tend to your flock of sheep. Whatever flock of sheep are bad, let them go and keep the good ones and replace them with more good sheep, if you want to use that metaphor which they used. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in and watching. And remember, be aware of what you're thinking. Be aware and conscious of how you handle situations. Be aware of how you talk to other people. Be aware of, really think about everything before you go through with anything. Because if there's no thought process, you know. And then the other thing, no, that's another subject. But anyways, with that being said, thank you very much. I know I said with that being said 3 times, 4 times now, because I just said it again. But have an amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow at this same time. Same bat channel, same bat time. Batman. I'm not Batman, but see you later.